Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today our group will discuss about our report in anxiety in mathematics. The anxiety in mathematics among high school students. I will introduce our group members. The first one is Nur Firzana. The second one is Nurul Ain. The third one is Putri Izranadia. The fourth one is Muhammad Shafizul Shafiq. And the last one is Muhammad Ashraf Adaha. What is mathematical anxiety? Mathematical anxiety, a problem with numbers. Mathematics is often called the universal language of logic and problem solving, but many people find it intimidating. Math anxiety, a feeling of tension or fear during math-related tasks, affect many students worldwide. Research showed that 17% to 30% of students experience high math anxiety, while up to 50% report moderate anxiety. This issue is especially common in statistics, a widely used but often misunderstood branch of math. High math anxiety can lead to lower performance, avoidance of math, and a lack of confidence even in capable students. We have explored how high school students experience and cope with math anxiety, focusing on its trigger, effect, and coping strategies. Most students report moderate math anxiety with common challenges including nervousness during tests, difficulty concentrating, and hesitation in solving problems, though they could still engage with the subject to some extent. Data was collected through observation and survey, focusing on Form 1 to Form 3 students for relevant outcomes. The manifestation of math anxiety include fear of failure, test anxiety, and avoidance of math tasks. The effect of math anxiety are difficulty understanding mathematical concepts, poor problem-solving skills, and reduced concentration and retention of knowledge.
The next part, I will explain about data that we have collected in this survey. The first data is socio-demographic of students. So in this survey, it is also included questions concerning about gender, form, and latest mathematic mark. As we can see in the first pie chart, it is represent number of respondents categorized by gender, which indicates that 52% respondents are female and 48% respondents are male. So from the graph, we can conclude that most respondents is female students. The second pie chart, it is represent form of respondents. So the graph shows that most of respondents are from Form 3 students, while Form 2 students are the least respondents in the survey. According to the last pie chart, which is latest mathematics mark of students, we can see that average score most students get in their final exam is in the range of 35 to 49. Next, the graph of level mathematics anxiety of students for total of 4 dimensions, which are the first dimension is appraisal toward external stimulus. The second dimension is arousal. The third one is face expressions, and last one is action tendency. So based on the graph, we can see that most of students have medium level of anxiety, which can affect their performance in mathematics subjects. So teachers must take an action to make sure their students love mathematics subject.
Moving to descriptive statistics, based on the table given, we providing the dataset for ungroup data. The table consists of measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion and distribution. The mean value of this dataset is 55.5577, give that on average. The median given are 55.5 and mode is 54. The dataset should be rather symmetric because the value of mean, mode and median is around the same figure. The standard deviation is 13.5073, that means it is moderately variable dataset. The data show that the skewness is left skew, which is negative 0.3139, implying that the dataset has relatively longer tail to the lower end. However, this is close enough to zero.
For hypothesis test, based on the table given, it shows that T sample to sample assuming equal variance. So I will explain about pool variance. The pool variance is 178.9842 and the degree of freedom is 50. The calculated T statistic is 1.406996 with a corresponding one tail p-value of 0.0824 and two tail p-value of 0.1649. The significant level for hypothesis test is 0.05, but we get the value for critical T value are 1.6759 for one tail and 2.0086 for two tail. So the observed p-value are larger than the significant level. We can conclude that T statistic does not exceed the critical value. So we fail to reject the null hypothesis. So we move on to the table. Next table. Based on the table given, it shows that T test for two samples assume unequal variance. The degree of freedom is also the same. The calculated T statistic is 1.4143 with one tail p-value is 0.017 and 2 tail. The critical T value for one tail test at 0.05 level significant is 1.6759 and for two failed test is 2.0086. This also shows that p-value are greater than the level of significant level and the t-test does not exceed, and also we have to reject the null hypothesis.
For chi-square, we provide here three tables. For the first table is display the case processing summary for the connection between level and form, and the second table is indicate the form and level, and the third table is indicate chi-square test for the connection between forms and level. Based on the table 3, we can get the value of chi-square, which is 2.437, and p-value is 0.656. Based on this table, we can conclude that the result is significant because the p-value is greater than the alpha value, which is normal alpha value is 0.05. In this case, the p-value is greater than standard alpha level, that the data suggests that respondent forms and respondent level anxiety are associated with each other.
Okay, now let's move to ANOVA. The ANOVA test was conducted to examine difference in head hurt across four groups, and the result shows significant variation. The sum of square between groups is 17.618 with 3 degrees of freedom, while the within group sum of square is 47.056 with 48 degrees of freedom. By dividing these values, we get a mean square of 5.873 for between group variation and 0.980 for within group variation. The S statistic calculated as 5.990 measures how much the group means differ relative to the variability within the groups. The significant value, which is p-value, is 0.001, which is well below to the standard threshold of 0.05. This means there is a statistically significant difference among the groups. In other words, the level of head hurt are not the same across all groups. Since the p-value is so low, we can confidently reject the null hypothesis, which assume all groups means are equal. Alright, now let's move to correlation. This table shows the correlation between two variables. First is mark, likely representing students' mark or performance, and second is total anxiety, which is representing their total anxiety level. The Pearson correlation coefficient is negative 0.303, which indicates a weak negative relationship between the two variables. This means that as students' anxiety levels increase, their mark tend to decrease. And as anxiety decrease, mark may slightly improve. The significance value, which is 0.029, which is less than 0.05. This tells us that the correlation is statistically significant, meaning the relationship between anxiety and mark are not due to change. The number of participants in the study is slightly different for two variables, with 53 observations for mark and 52 for total anxiety. In summary, this analysis suggests that anxiety could have a small but meaningful impact on students' academic performance, highlighting the importance of managing anxiety to potentially improve outcomes.
For hypothesis test, based on the table given, it shows that T sample to sample assuming equal variance. So I will explain about pool variance. The pool variance is 178.9842 and the degree of freedom is 50. The calculated T statistic is 1.406996 with a corresponding one-tail p-value of 0.0824 and two-tail p-value of 0.1649. The significant level for hypothesis test is 0.05, but we get the value for critical T value 1.6759 for one tail and 2.0086 for two tail. So the observed p-value are larger than the significant level. We can conclude that T statistic does not exceed the critical value, so we fail to reject the null hypothesis. So we move on to the table. Next table, based on the table given, it shows that T test for two samples assume unequal variance. The degree of freedom is also the same. The calculated T statistic is 1.4143 with one tail p value is 0.017 and 2 the critical T value for one tail test at 0.05 level significant is 1.6759 and for two failed test is 2.0086. This also shows that p-value are greater than the level of significant level and the t-test does not exceed, and also we have to reject the null hypothesis.